Great. So we will be talking about one very interesting sector which I have been figuring out, and one of our member from Nivesh Gyan actually presented a case study on two of these companies. So I'm going to be giving an overview today, and then over the time we will be trying to go deeper into individual companies over the time. So why this particular sector excites me, and what are the nuances of this sector? We are going to talk about that. Firstly, disclosures. I might be invested in some of these companies, and at certain point, I might be disclosing that as well. But at no point we have got more than 1% stake, and I'm not a SEBI registered investor. So please consult your financial advisor and do your own research before investing in this any of the stocks. So if you see, healthcare is a very big industry, and all over the world, it's a very big industry with 12.4 lakh crores of worth, which is over there. Pharma occupies the biggest chunk, which is 11.1 lakh crores. And what people are saying now is pharma is going to be the next IT of India, because we have the manpower, we have the cheap resources and everything. Hospitals, again, a very lucrative bit, because there's a lot of foreign medical tourism which actually happens in India, so that's also a very interesting. And diagnostic, it has got a huge boom in the COVID times, because everyone was going to the diagnostic sector, yet it only occupies 3% of the segment of 0.44 lakh crore. I'm going to tell you why this is the most profitable sector, yet getting the least attention right now in the healthcare picture. Now, if you can see over here, both the BSc healthcare over here, which is the blue line, and the yellow line, which is the healthcare index of the US, both has outperformed their average indexes over there. So we can believe that healthcare definitely has some potential going forward, because a lot of people are now making sure that they have a good facility to serve. Now, let's say you are invested in Nifty. The four companies which are listed in Nifty 50 from the pharma world are Sun Pharma, Divi's Lab, Dr. Reddy, and Cipla. These are big players, but and Divi's is the latest addition. But if you see, not even one of these companies is from the world of diagnostic, and there is a very powerful reason, because it only occupies 0.4 lakh crore. So definitely, pharma companies had to be here. So let's say you are investing either in a pharma ETF or a Nifty ETF, you won't be getting quite a good representation from the diagnostic business. I hope this helps you clarify why I said it's one of the most underrepresented sector right now when we talk about the pharma. And if you see, healthcare weightage in FY15 was at 9%. Right now it's standing somewhere at 4%. So there's a huge chance that there will be another boom which will take it to 9.1%, and we can expect healthcare as a overall also to grow quite rapidly. Now, if you see, this is what I was trying to point out, why this has got my interest is top 5 diagnostic chains has the highest growth rate of somewhere between 23 to 25, while we see hospitals also has a high growth rate, but it doesn't excites me because hospital is a very operational heavy industry, and it requires regular input of capital. It's like a hotel or an airline industry, that before the first patient can actually enter a hospital chain, the investment is huge, and you are not sure whether the returns are going to be there or not. So I compare this to be an hospital or an airlines industry. What really interests me is this diagnostic, because they are not that much cost intensive. By an investment of 5 CR, you can create a hub, and by investment of 1 CR, you can create a spoke model, and which is the model which most of the big diagnostic companies right now are running. Also, I want to let you know that most of the insurance groups are making losses. It's the perpetuity of the funds which we pay to them. So they are making most of their money right now on the on the additional income which they are able to generate from this particular bit. So that's why what I feel is diagnostic is a great sector which is gonna grow because they have the highest ROE. What are the sector highlights? It's a very low barrier to entry. As I told you, the investment is not that great, and due to which all the big players like Reliance, Tatas are right now trying to enter this space. Simultaneously, hospitals are also understood this business and they have set up their own chains. But I will, there's a whole rationale why standalone diagnostic is way better than those. It's a highly fragmented market. There are a lot of reports, but on an average, the consensus is 50 to 70% is still unorganized, and only 30 to 50% is organized. There's a low insurance coverage till now, I would say, because with the Ayushman Bharat, that's gonna change. And what happens is today no doctor is gonna recommend you any medical facility without, if you don't have an insurance, if you don't have a proper diagnostic test with you. And a good health medical service can only be provided if you have a good diagnostic. So the more the insurance coverage will be there, the more the diagnostic people will be going to diagnostic and to hospitals to get these services. And we are expecting that uh, right now number of policies, insurance policy is issued is uh, 13 million. With Ayushman Bharat, we are talking about 450 million who are going to get covered into this. So there's a lot of scope into this. There's a lot of medical innovation is also happening. So IL-6 for COVID, genome testing. So if genome testing came in picture, then there will be a lot of people coming to preventive healthcare, which is not right now happening in the Indian space. Technology, so definitely there are a lot of technological changes which are happening, and regulatory tailwinds are also trying that the unorganized segment gets closed down and the organized segment is growing faster. Now, if you see how does this whole operate, there's a patient who has all these particular bits which he can avail from home collection, express lab collection center, and then he goes to a particular lab. It can be any particular lab, and there they test. Right. So yeah, let's move on. So nuts and bolts of diagnostic business are it's a relationship driven business. Prescription drives medicines and tests. Tests are more corrective and detective than preventive. So if you go in the developed world, a lot of their patients try to have the preventive test as well. But here in India, still most of the business of all the organized players comes from the doctor recommendations that, hey, why don't you go and do these tests? And that's how this business comes. During the COVID, they got a huge boost in the preventive checkups also. So now people are going on their own, checking for their insulin and other things, but it was not, it's still a very small percentage when it comes to their business. India's business is still B2B. It's not B2C, so they are trying to go from B2C. So that's, if that happens, that will be a huge tailwind for this particular sector. Also, you have to understand all these chains of diagnostic are a very different segment in itself. For example, Metropolis is only offering in the West. DLP, Dr. Pathlab, DPL, it should be, is only oriented in north and east heavy, and Thyrocare is folding up into the digital first, and it was mostly in the south kind of a business. So when you are looking at these business, you have to understand that it's not that they have spread all around. You might be seeing Dr. Pathlab around your houses, but Metropolis has his own expertise in the Bombay region, while Thyrocare is available in the Kerala and the Chennai region. And they are doing a lot of acquisition and partnerships. You would keep hearing that they are expanding. So every player right now is doing acquisitions because there were a lot of small players which were available all around the country. So doctor refers, and based on this, you get the whole bit, and doctor only refers you based on the reputation. So if you have a reputation, you have doctor referrals. Doctor referrals gives you the volumes gives you scale, which gives you deepening network, and that's again gives you the more the doctor refers, the more the scale you get, the more doctor refers again comes to you itself. Now, this is a very interesting slide. You need to understand while India population lies to a large extent in north and east. However, as I was telling you, what Ayushman Bharat will do is insurance coverage is in west is the highest. So we are talking about Mumbai and other areas. So if people are insured more, they go to the hospitals more, and because of that, diagnostics chains gets a higher weightage. So that's why if I look at a metropolis, it has got lower number of I should say stores in comparison to Dr. Patlab. Yet the revenue per customer of Metropolis is way higher than other players because it operates in the west and it's a market leader over there. North and east is a great market, but if you see the insurance coverage is lower, yet the growth opportunity in north and east is humongous because it's only 2% in east where people are covered and 5% in the north. So where we can expect that a lot of people are going to get on to the bandwagon of insurance, and there we will get a huge boom in this particular space. South has again a good weightage. We are still not commenting on the thyrocare because with the pharmacy capture, we believe that it's still a space to wait and see because now it's the whole promoter has changed. The whole shares of the promoter is pledged, which doesn't give us a lot of good eyesight of where this particular company will go in the future. Now, this again, if you see the companies which have the in north, the number one company is having such a high share, and the revenues are also so great. So in north, it's a very high differentiation that number one, which is Dr. Patlab, has kept in comparison to SRL. Similarly, if you see in East also, they have got a good leeway. In East, they is small. So what we can understand is North player has got a huge leeway when it comes to being the number one position and the number two position. In South also, you can see this difference is quite good. West also, East is a bit less. So when you are looking at these all players, you have to understand how much moat is like advantage they have or the other players they have been able to build for themselves over there. So I feel North is a very good place to look at. West is a very good place to look at. South is becoming bit this company over there is not looking so great because of the takeover by the pharmacy, which right now is not looking in a great shape. So there are pan-India diagnostic chains, which we talked about, Path Labs, Metropolis, SRL. There's regional diagnostic players, for example, Suraksha, Vijaya, another very interesting space, but I don't want to go into the regional because while they have a market leader in Hyderabad or one particular region, what I personally believe is there might be a time that it can get destroyed by these pan-India diagnostics. So if you have Dhoni to play for you, why would you go for some small player? So that's my hypothesis right now that we have got Dhoni available for betting for us. Why should I bet for some other small player? Then we have got hospital-based diagnostic. Now I told you if you have to bet, it's better to bet on a diagnostic rather than hospitals. Hospitals definitely have their own advantage. But what happens in hospitals diagnostic, which I read from Embed Capital reports and all those, is most of these hospital diagnostics are still covering basic tests, not the high-end test. So they still don't focus on very high-end tests, and that's why when it comes to a high-end like radiology or some other test, they go for Dr. Path Labs or Pan India Labs because of the volume that while a lot of patients comes to Apollo, there are very few patients who come for radiology, and keeping those labs over there would require huge cost only for running for only Apollo hospitals. So that's why when it comes for those kinds of tests, high value tests which have got the highest margin, they try to refer to these chains again. So they are only catering to those well-being tests or small blood tests and other kind of tests. And unorganized sector is still huge, which you will see over the next 4-5 years. That's our expectation. would reduce to somewhere around 10 to 20% only in tier 3 cities. Now let's come to the players itself. Uh, if you see all these players which are right now has been on the online world, Tata 1mg has recently started opening their offline stores all over the country. So they have understood the power of offline model. The interesting thing which I want to point out is all these companies' valuation was at 10x the point. So if you see, they were making a revenue of 2.285 or 30, and they were valued at 4137. So more than 10x. They were revenue was 100, and they were valued at 450. So somewhere around 4x. So what I'm saying is, if you see all the companies which are in the brick and mortar like Vijaya, Thyrocare, SRL, Metropolitan, and Dr. Patla, they have not been valued right now in the market at that particular valuation which these particular players has been valued. But now they have understood offline model has a high potential of growth in pharma, in diagnostic chains, because people, it's a trust business. It's a business where hospitals and doctors recommends, and patients wants to see a clinic next to you where he would like to go. So that's why this is very interesting that Dr. Path Labs has the highest number of offerings which they do. The number of stores also, Dr. Path Labs is on a lower side of 210, but their offerings are humongously big. SRL is big, but as we saw in the number of labs they have, but as we saw in this particular chart, SRL is lying way below when it comes to the share they have in the north region. This was on 1st March. All the stocks right now at a 50% low over here. One thing which I wanted to point out is Dr. Lal Path Labs has been commanding a great premium because of their working capital as well. The working capital of this particular company is minus 26 days, and working capital minus is saying that to their suppliers who supply them, they're able to retain funds from them, but all their buyers, the customers, pays them upfront. So they keep the money from their suppliers, they pay them after some time, but all their customers pays them upfront. So they get a buffer of an additional income from this particular keeping this money for some time with them. Metropolis also has a great thing. Vijaya also has a minus 15 days. So if you see, Vijaya has very few stores of 90 to 100 stores, yet they command also a huge premium because of this working capital. And working capital has shown things at a lot of places like Hosiery, your jockey stores gets a huge advantage because of their working capital, unlike Nikia versus HUL, and then certainty over delivery. So now this was an article on FinShots, and it was a very beautiful article which talked about, so we talked about how Dr. Path Labs is getting the number of patients is huge, but if you see the average revenue is 764, while Metropolis number of patients is less, yet average revenue per patient is high in comparison to Dr. Path Lab because of his presence in that particular geography, which is great. Vijaya, as I told you, is again commanding a premium, negative working capital. You can see number of patients is very less, yet their revenue is humongously at 1277, which is the highest in the industry. So these are very interesting statistics which helps you understand where you need to look at when you are looking at diagnostics. Some headwinds for diagnostic player is regulatory headwinds on pricing. Right now, a lot of players have the freedom to do that. If government tomorrow says for a radiology you can't charge more than 1,500 or 2,000, then it might be not a great thing for these players. Innovation is happening, home testing kits, wearables, so this will reduce some kind of testing over there. Detective to prevention, if preventive thing can be detected through some innovation or something, then it might reduce the revenue forecast for these companies. And delay in insurance penetration. A very big hypothesis which we are playing around is with the Ayushman Bharat and the growth in the insurance, there will be a lot of headwinds for the diagnostic players. Per capita GDP is gonna grow. That's again an hypothesis, because if you don't have a income, then you won't be able to spend your money on a product like a insurance. So that's we are hoping that would happen. So that's where we are. So thank you. I hope you liked it.